Imagine waking up one morning in your quiet suburban home, the kind of place where picket fences line the streets and Saturday mornings smell like fresh cut grass and coffee. You stare at the empty side of the bed, the one that used to hold the woman you promised forever to. Your chest tightens because you finally see it. You were the reason she left. Not some big betrayal, but 1,000 small ones, the late nights at work, the forgotten anniversaries, the way you shut down when she needed you most. Now you're trying to date again, swiping through apps in a big American city, chasing something real, but every conversation feels hollow. Desperate for answers, you do the unthinkable. You pick up the phone and call your ex-wife's mom. What she says next doesn't just give you dating advice, it cracks open your heart and shows you the quiet power of kindness. Stick around, because this story might just change how you see every person in your life. If this kind of heartfelt story moves you, hit that like button, subscribe to, and leave a comment below with your own moment when someone's kindness turned everything around. Let's build a community that celebrates the good in people. Now, here's the story. His name was Mike, a 42-year-old mechanic from a mid-sized town in Ohio, the kind of place where everyone knows your business but still waves when you drive by. Mike had been divorced from Sarah for 2 years. Their marriage had started like a Hallmark movie: high school sweethearts, backyard wedding under string lights, 2 kids who filled their modest ranch house with laughter. But somewhere along the way, life got heavy. Mike worked double shifts to keep the bills paid. He came home tired, short-tempered, and emotionally checked out. Sarah begged him to talk, to help with the kids' homework, to just sit on the porch swing like they used to. He brushed her off with "I'm providing, aren't I?" until the day she packed her bags and moved back in with her mom across town. The divorce papers felt like a punch to the gut, but Mike told himself he'd be fine. He threw himself into work, dated a few women from the local diner crowd, even took his kids to ball games on weekends. Yet every night he lay awake wondering why nothing felt right. His new relationships fizzled because he carried the same old walls. One rainy Thursday evening, after striking out on yet another awkward coffee date, Mike sat in his truck in the Walmart parking lot and stared at his phone. Sarah's mom, Linda, had always been the steady one, the woman who baked pies for the church potluck, who remembered every birthday, who once drove 2 hours in a snowstorm to pick up the kids when Mike's truck broke down. Even after the divorce, Linda had never badmouthed him. She just smiled sadly and said, "We all make mistakes, honey." Before he could talk himself out of it, Mike dialed her number. His hands shook. When Linda answered, her voice was warm, like always. "Mike? Everything okay with the kids?" He swallowed hard. "The kids are fine, Linda. I need advice. I'm trying to date again, but I keep messing it up. I know I wasn't the husband I should have been to Sarah. You probably hate me for that. But you always saw things clear. What am I doing wrong?" There was a long pause. Mike braced for anger, for the lecture he deserved. Instead, Linda laughed softly, the same gentle laugh that used to fill their family dinners. "Oh, Mike. I don't hate you. I never did. Come over for coffee tomorrow morning. We'll talk face to face." The next day, Mike showed up at Linda's tidy brick house with a nervous bouquet of grocery store daisies. She greeted him at the door in her favorite blue sweater, the one Sarah used to borrow. They sat at the kitchen table where he'd eaten Thanksgiving turkey for 15 years. Steam rose from 2 mugs of coffee. Linda didn't waste time. "You're asking for dating advice," she said, "but I think you're really asking how to stop carrying that guilt around like an anchor. I'll tell you the truth, Mike. Sarah loved you with everything she had. But love needs kindness to survive, the everyday kind, not the big romantic gestures. You stopped seeing her. You stopped noticing when she was tired from chasing the kids all day. You stopped saying thank you for the lunches she packed or the way she cheered you on at your softball games. Kindness isn't flashy. It's showing up when it's inconvenient. It's listening even when you're exhausted. It's choosing to be gentle when the world makes you want to snap. Mike stared into his coffee, eyes stinging. He expected judgment. What he got was grace. Linda reached across the table and squeezed his hand, the same hand that used to rock their babies to sleep. I watched you two build a life, she continued. I also watched it crack because kindness got lost in the noise of bills and stress and pride. But here's the secret, honey. Kindness isn't just for the person you love. It's for you, too. Forgive yourself a little. Then start practicing it with everyone: the cashier who's having a bad day, your kids when they're acting out, even the stranger who cuts you off in traffic. When you lead with kindness, the right person will see the real you. They talked for hours. Linda shared stories Mike had never heard, how her own marriage almost ended in the 70s when her husband lost his job and drank too much, but one small act of kindness, her making his favorite meatloaf and sitting with him instead of yelling, pulled them back together. She told him about the time Sarah cried on her shoulder the night she left, not out of hate, but heartbreak. She still cares about you, Mike. Not in a romantic way anymore, but she wants you to be happy. And so do I. That conversation planted something deep in Mike's chest. He left Linda's house feeling lighter than he had in years. The next weekend, instead of swiping on dating apps, he showed up at his kid's soccer game with homemade cookies, Linda's recipe. He didn't just cheer, he helped coach the shy kid on the bench who reminded him of himself at that age. At work, he started noticing the young apprentice struggling with a tough repair and stayed late to teach him without making him feel small. He texted Sarah a simple "thank you for being such a good mom" and meant it. Word spread in their tight-knit community. People noticed the change. The single mom down the street asked him to fix her car for free after her husband deployed overseas. Mike did it and refused payment, saying, "Someone once showed me kindness when I didn't deserve it. Paying it forward feels right." He started volunteering at the local food bank on Saturdays, handing out meals and listening to the stories of folks who'd hit hard times. One elderly man told him, "Son, in this country we talk about the American dream, but nobody mentions the American kindness, the way a stranger's smile can get you through another week." Months passed. Mike met Emily at the food bank. She was a schoolteacher from the next town over, raising her niece after a family tragedy. Their first conversation wasn't about looks or jobs, it was about the little ways they each tried to brighten someone's day. Emily laughed when Mike admitted he was still learning. "That's the best part," she said. "Kindness is a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets." They took it slow. Mike introduced her to the kids carefully. He called Linda for advice again, not out of desperation this time, but gratitude. Linda's eyes sparkled when she met Emily. "See," she whispered to Mike later. "That's what happens when you choose kindness. It comes back around." One crisp autumn evening, Mike stood on Emily's porch with the kids, carving pumpkins under string lights. His phone buzzed. Sarah had sent a photo of their daughter's school play. For the first time, there was no sting of regret, only quiet thanks. He replied with a heart emoji and a simple message, "Proud of her. Thanks for everything." Mike never became a millionaire or a celebrity. He stayed a mechanic in Ohio, fixing cars and mending fences in his community. But something bigger shifted inside him. He learned that kindness isn't weakness, it's the strongest force most of us will ever wield. It heals old wounds, bridges broken families, and turns strangers into friends. In a country where we're often told to hustle harder and look out for number one, Mike's story reminds us that the real American spirit lives in the small, daily choices: holding the door, listening without interrupting, forgiving when it's hard. Linda passed away 2 years later, peaceful and surrounded by family. At her funeral, Mike stood up and told the room what her kitchen table talk had done for him. Sarah hugged him afterward, not as his wife, but as a friend who had found her own happiness. "You finally got it, Mike," she whispered. "Thank you for the man you became." Today, if you drive through that Ohio town, you might spot Mike at the diner, buying coffee for the waitress who looks worn out. You might see him coaching Little League, high-fiving every kid whether they win or lose. Or you might catch him on his porch swing with Emily, laughing about nothing and everything. He'll tell you the same thing Linda told him: kindness isn't a grand gesture you save for special occasions. It's the way you treat people when no one's watching. It's choosing softness in a hard world. So the next time life knocks you down, whether it's a failed marriage, a tough day at work, or just the weight of the daily grind, remember Mike's story. Pick up the phone. Reach out to someone who's been kind to you before. Or better yet, be that person for someone else. One small act can ripple farther than you'll ever know. It can mend hearts, rebuild trust, and prove that in America, or anywhere really, the most powerful thing any of us can do is simply be kind. What will your act of kindness be today? The world is waiting for it. And who knows, maybe it'll change everything, just like it did for Mike.